So we in the previous video we made our player movement sync across the network. So now let's start some work on animator. Now open the gameplay scene and drag your player from your resources into the hierarchy, and let's select the cowboy, and on cowboy we have a component called animator, and open this animator inside our animator window. Now the default state is idle, so I'm going to create some parameters here. So the first one is going to be is move, and the second one is short, and the third one is going to be is dead. Now currently I don't have an animation for dead, so I am going to create an empty state and call it death, so which I already have right here. So because you might be using a different character for to follow, so you may have your death animation. Since I don't have my death animation, so I'm going to use the default state, and later we can replace simply this state with our death animation. Now we are going to transition from idle to run when our is move is true, and from run to idle when is move is false. Now for short we are going to say we can transition from idle to short only when is move is false, because we don't want our player to shoot when he is moving, so he can only shoot if he is standing still. And the next condition is going to be is short to true. So if the player is not moving and is short is true, then transition to short. And from shoot to idle if the is move is false, sorry, if the is short is false. And also when we transition from idle to run, make sure that the has exit time is disabled, and also from run to idle has exit time is disabled. And same for the short animation, there is no has exit time, and from short to idle we don't want it to check. Now save this animator, and let's go back to our cowboy script. So right now in the previous video you may have noticed that when we move our player, the player is still playing the idle animation. So we want to play the moving animation when our player move, or running animation when player move. So for that, what we are going to do is when we are moving, we are simply going to say anim. So we want a reference to our animator component to access these variables. So let's go up here and say private animator and call it anim. Or simply make it public. So now in here when we are pressing the D or A key, it means we are moving our character. So we will simply say anim dot set bool, and the bool is going to be is move. Make sure to spell it correctly as you did in here, and set its value to true. Now copy the same line and paste it right here. So let's shift it above, and now we also want to detect when our player has stopped moving. So in here what we are going to do is if input dot get key up and the key code is going to be D. So if we are releasing the D key, then it means we are not moving. So simply set this to false. Now copy the same line and paste right here, and instead of D, now we are going to check for A and is moved to false. Now let's first quickly assign this variable. So save the script, go back to the editor, and inside the resources folder, player. So here is our new anim variable, which is our animator controller, and we are going to drag this animator controller. So we are going to simply drag this cowboy to animator, and it is going to automatically get the animator component. Now hit apply button to apply all the changes, and let's remove the player, go back to our scenes, and in the sample scene, and let's play the game test. Now you can notice that our player is playing the running animation. So right here we are using, for the key up we are using another if. Instead what we need to do is we need to do else if. So if the else if is going to be checked by compiler only if this condition is not true. So we don't need to check each time for that condition. So that's why we are using else if, and same here else if.